Hey guys, welcome to the video. If you're new here, my name is Curtis. Today we're going to be talking about fragrances that contain the note of tea. Now that could be different kinds of tea. It could be like black tea, oolong tea, matcha tea. It just kind of depends, but all of these fragrances that I'm going to show you today have some kind of tea in them, and to some degree. Some of the fragrances, the tea note is a bit more prominent than others, and some in the fragrances you can't really detect a whole lot, but it's definitely in there. So if you're curious to hear about the fragrances that I've chosen today, then let's go. All right, first up from the house of Nishane, we have Oolong Cha. Man, so this fragrance has received a lot of hype in the community, especially recently, and it's definitely well deserved. This is one of my favorites from the house of Nishane, and it's the perfect fit for like a spring and summertime fragrance. But what I will say is you can even pull this one off in the cooler temperatures. Number one, it has the performance to do so, and sometimes I do wear this one in the cooler temperatures when I just want to feel kind of refreshed and uplifted. And the way that this fragrance smells in the cooler air is just, it's amazing. I absolutely love it. So basically with this fragrance, what I kind of get is I get like some bergamot, I get like the oolong tea, and then I get a fig note. And it gets slightly musky in the dry down, but for the most part, this fragrance remains quite fresh, and performance is really, really good. It's impressive for a fresh fragrance to perform the way that this one does. I really love it. It's a go-to in my spring and summer rotation. I mean, you guys can see the dent that I put in this already. I mean, it's a heavy hitter in my rotation, and I absolutely love this one. But yeah, when you spray this one, it does kind of have like a bitter green kind of feeling to it. So that could be slightly off-putting if you're not into kind of green fragrances, but that bitterness kind of subsides a little bit as you progress through the fragrance. And yeah, this one is just very refreshing, and it fits perfectly in those hot temperatures. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Oolong Cha by Nishane. Next up from the house of MFK, we have Aqua Media Cologne Forte. Man, so this is another one that just smells very bright, citrusy, fresh. So this one features the note of matcha tea. Now, I will say that I can't really pick up the matcha tea note a whole lot in this fragrance. I think it's in here, but it's kind of tucked, kind of subtly in here. But this does have quite a green freshness to it. So again, this is another one. If you're not a big fan of green, fresh scents, then this may not be your cup of tea. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this smell here. But in comparison to Oolong Cha from Nishane, the performance is very moderate with this one. I get about 3 or 4 hours of longevity with this one. So it's not a heavy performer, but in the summer months, I think, that's all I really need. And I have a little 35 ml bottle of this, so I can just easily take this with me and reapply. But yeah, this is just green, citrusy, freshness. The greenness in here is slightly bitter, but yeah, it is quite refreshing to wear in those hot and humid temperatures. Yeah, this is a go-to for me for sure. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Aqua Media Cologne Forte by MFK. Next up from the house of BDK, we have Gris Charnel. Man, so this one is sexy, spicy creaminess in a bottle. Basically, you get a heavy blast of cardamom in here, mixed in with some fig and some black tea. And then you have some sandalwood and some tonka bean, which really helps to give this fragrance some creaminess. There is a slight powderiness here, so if you're not a fan of powdery fragrances, then you may really make sure you sample this one first. I'm not a huge fan of powdery fragrances, but I would say that the powderiness is not overly prominent or anything like that. It is quite subtle, but it's definitely there. But this one is very, very creamy. There's a slight lactonic quality to this, and for me, I'm not a huge fan of lactonic fragrances, but it works in this one. But again, it's just slightly lactonic, but that creamy sexiness here given off by the cardamom is perfect. I love wearing this fragrance, it's just very cozy. I would say that performance on this is pretty good. You get nice projection and nice longevity with this. So yeah, and the sillage is also gorgeous with this one. It's definitely one of my favorites from the house and one to check out. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Gris Charnel by BDK. Next up from the house of Milano, we have Russian Tea. All right, now of all of the fragrances that I'm showing you today, I think this one has the most realistic and dominant tea note. This one, man, this one smells like raspberry black tea with a bit of mint in it. And God, this one is so amazing. And this one was perfumed by one of my favorite perfumers, Julian Rasquinet. I've talked about him and featured many of his fragrances on the channel. Man, he has done just stellar work on this fragrance. I absolutely love it. Now, the times where I reach for this fragrance are if I'm going to like a cafe and I just want to kind of, maybe people watch, or if I'm going there to study for a bit, this is the perfect fragrance for that. Now, I tend to reach for this one in the fall and winter time when I just want to kind of feel cozy and warm and, I guess kind of just feel very relaxed. I reach for this type of fragrance. I really like it. It has a calming quality about it that I just really, really enjoy. And one thing that I really like about Mas Milano too is their bottle design. They always put the perfumer name around here. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. But yeah, it's just a really cool bottle design. I really enjoy this brand. I have a few other fragrances from them and I like them all the same. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Russian Tea by Mas Milano. All right, next up from the house of Orman J, we have Mont Tobacco Verano. So this fragrance features the note of tea in it, but I can't really pick it up so much. I definitely get a heavy blast of citruses, and you can pick up a bit on the tobacco in here. So this is basically like a fresh tobacco scent that you can wear in the spring and summertime. Performance is really, really good here. And yeah, this one smells just very refreshing, but also kind of elegant and classy. So you can wear this one basically any season, dressed up for a formal or casual event. It's very, very versatile, and that's one of the reasons why I really, really enjoy this fragrance. I think Orman J in general just does very classy and elegant fragrances that can also be worn quite casually. So I really enjoy the versatility from this brand, and yeah, this is a great one and definitely one to check out. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Mont Tobacco Verano by Orman J. All right, guys, so that's all I have for you for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content, and let me know down in the comments section, what fragrances do you have in your collection that contain the note of tea? I'd love to hear about them. All right, well, I hope you guys are staying healthy and well, and I'll see you in the next video.